I know nothing, nothing. Please leave me alone. Please, you will go.
Madam, I assure you...
Where is Sergei? Oh, Sergei, come quick, quick, help me. They want to hang your poor little Petrushka. Where is Sergei?
Madam, we...
Go away, you're a bad man. Disappear, please disappear. What is that?
The Spider's Web. Sheldon wrote it. Mademoiselle, perhaps you'll be good enough to write as I dictate. 12 heroes with broken feet.
No, I do not do it, I swear. He was dead already when I go to meet him.
You wish to make a statement, madam? You're not obliged to do so, but I warn you that anything you say will be taken down and may be used in evidence. He's got that expression on the brain, do not?
I do nothing except dance. I do not kill. I am dancer. You do not believe me. Look, I show you.
Madam, please. Please, madam, I implore you.
Sergei, this I kill Harry Chilton. Me, Yaklanov. Tell them I cannot kill you in a fly.
Who are you? Well,
How do you harm Mademoiselle Yaklanov like this?
I am Inspector Lestrade of Scotland Yard. And Madam Yaklanov...
And I am Sergei Smirnov, the director of the St. Petersburg Imperial Ballet. The Tsar himself shall hear of this outrage.
Then, Mr. Smirnov, perhaps you would be good enough to explain the exact relationship between Madam Yaklanov and Mr. Sheldon. Madam appears to be, to say the least of it, incoherent.
Oh. So you had an acquaintance with Sheldon in London?
Yes, Sergei. I saw him again. I meet Harry in St. Petersburg. He does not wish to be soldier boy, he tells me. He wished to make beautiful music like Tchaikovsky. He play his music for me. I say, Harry, you must be better soldier boy than you are music maker. You must be. It is not possible to be worse.
Such music, like noises in the air. He was ridiculous, yes?
Why was he looking at you like that, madam?
He has written ballet since he left St. Petersburg. The Spider's Web, he call it. He wish me to dance the spider.
No.
Me, Yaklanov, a spider. It is crazy.
And tonight you arranged to meet him in St. James's Park after the evening performance.
Yes, to tell him it is finished. No more will I listen to his music.
And did you meet him in the park?
Yes, but I was a little late. It was very dark. I see Harry on the ground, dead.
I see. You saw no weapon?
No, no weapon. I'm frightened. I ran away.
Not bad, Mr. Smirnov. It has certain merit.
Merit? Oh, who could possibly dance to noises like that? Yeah, listen. At the beginning even, it is all wrong. Look, it should go like this. In 3/4 time. 1.
Very pretty, Mr. Smirnov. But we happen to have a murder on our hands. Oh, madam, does this dagger belong to you?
Yes, I kill myself with it.
Oh, now, really, madam, there's no need to go that far. I believe, Watson, the lady means she kills herself with it in the ballet.
Yes, in the ballet.
There are some interesting traces of blood on that, Lestrade.
No, no, it is not true.
I'm afraid, madam, I'll have to ask you to accompany me to Scotland Yard for further questioning.
You will go, Olga. It is only bluff.
Yes, Sergei. I will dress.
I will telegraph the Tsar. Himself. Personally. You will see. There may even be war. War! War! Bang!
Foreigners. Women. Nobody could be logical about them. Not even Sherlock Holmes.
Holmes, can't you think sitting down? This is the third time I've read this page already.
Yaklanov's handwriting. That's what baffles me. The hand of a strong woman. And yet you saw her, Watson. No will of her own. Absolutely no will. It's illogical.
Well, the inspector seemed to think the same thing, but he's built up a pretty logical case against her with your help.
Perhaps too logical. Attack when you expect them to run, and run when you expect them to attack.
You know, Sheldon wrote pretty bad music. That could be a motive for murder. Thought about it myself on occasion.
But this handwriting, Watson. If only I could get to the bottom of it.
I say, Holmes, do you think they could let me have my hat back before the trial? I mean, the thing might drag on for days. Lestrade keeps on saying it's evidence.
Nope. There's only one thing to do. Have Lestrade confront Sergei Smirnov with Mrs. Chilton.
Why?
Because it's perfectly obvious why and by whom Chilton was killed. The only thing I can't get to the bottom of is this mysterious business of the handwriting.
Do you know who murdered Sheldon, then?
Yes, of course I do. Don't you? Then you never met Sergei Smirnov before, Mrs. Chilton, either in St. Petersburg or London?
No, Mr. Holmes.
Brought Mr. Smirnov along as you asked me to, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, good. Ah! Mr. Brazier! I beg your pardon? I am furious! Right in the midst of rehearsal, I am dragged away. Well, I'm sure the good inspector apologized most profusely, Mr. Smirnov. I don't believe you've met Mrs. Chilton. Chilton. Who? Mrs. Chilton.
Ah, murder.
Then perhaps, Mr. Smirnov, you'd be good enough to play the introductory music to the Spider's Web Ballet for Mrs. Chilton, as you did for us last night. Eh? Didn't it strike you as curious, Lestrade, that Mr. Smirnov should know Chilton's ballet music, which wasn't composed until after Chilton left St. Petersburg?
Well,
Yaklanov didn't show it to him. She did everything she could to hide their meetings. That left only one place where he could have learned that music. Here, in this house, at that piano, in Chilton's absence, naturally.
I don't follow you, Holmes.
The budding affair of the Heartless trade was not, as Mrs. Chilton would have us believe, between her husband and Mademoiselle Yaklanov, but between herself and Mr. Smirnov.
Between Smirnov and Mrs. Chilton?
Ridiculous. Then how did you learn Chilton's ballet?
Do you wish to make a statement, sir? You're not obliged to do so, but I warn you that anything you say will be taken down and maybe...
Are these the shoes you meant, Holmes?
I believe so, Watson. Mrs. Chilton, did you by any chance go out last night, after Dr. Watson and I departed?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yet these are the shoes you were wearing. If you didn't go out, how do you account for the mud on the soles and the blades of grass? It didn't start to rain until after we left.
Mr. Holmes, I don't think it's necessary that I explain anything.
You mean she did it, or he did it, or both? Who are you accusing of murder, Holmes?
Mrs. Chilton, alone.
So you killed for love of me?
And accomplished the double task of placing the guilt on Mademoiselle Yaklanov. You undoubtedly found her note in your husband's pocket.
To kill for love. I can understand. But to blame poor little Olga, that I will never forgive. Who would replace her in the ballet?
You seem to forget, Mr. Holmes, that the dagger was found in Mademoiselle Yaklanov's room.
Ah, yes, the dagger. When did Mrs. Chilton have the dagger, Mr. Smirnov?
3 days ago. I forget to leave it here after the ballet. The next day, Helene returned it to me.
with a few drops of her own blood on it.
Holmes, are you sure this time?
I was almost sure from the beginning, Lestrade. I just couldn't explain the handwriting and the temperament. And there really wasn't a logical explanation. I mean, the strong-minded woman with the weak handwriting, and the weak-minded woman with the strong handwriting. The inconsistency of the female, Watson. Yet she was clever in engaging me to make sure that Mademoiselle Yaklanoff would be suspected.
Mrs. Shelton, I must ask you to come with me to Scotland Yard. Do you wish to make a statement? You're not obliged to, but I warn you that anything you say will be taken down and may be used in evidence.
I must go and free poor little Olga from prison. She has suffered so. She'll dance so much better now. Oh!
You mean then, Holmes, that you knew Mrs. Shelton had committed the murder, but the one thing that confused you was her handwriting?
Her handwriting and character, Watson. The evidence was logical, but the personalities were not.
Well, they're logical enough in their way, Holmes. They were just feminine.
Yes, that's it, Watson. They were just feminine. I must devote more time to that, Watson. I must devote more time to that.